Season 2.
We're here, baby.
Woo! We're back. You thought we were gone forever. We just took way more time off than you thought we would.
We weren't 100% sure we were coming back either, and then we decided, well, we still have a contract, so we gotta be here and make some content for you guys.
That's right. In case you forgot, my name's Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster, and this is the Press Play Podcast Network.
Yeah, and this is the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast for
The Sports Collector.
Bro, Season 2's off to a great start.
We didn't screw that up.
You didn't say something perverted.
Right?
Immediately.
I didn't stumble over my words,
Nah.
even though I drank half a Yankee Candle before we started this.
Yeah. So we got this. So let's talk about it. Apparently, this is a thing now. We talk about what we're drinking every time. I don't drink every day. Thursday, when we record, is my Friday and your Friday.
Yeah, it's both of our Fridays.
So in this case, I'm drinking a Christmas gift. Well, I have two drinks. Well, now that I say it like that out loud.
Meetings next Wednesday.
Hey, you know what? Mind your business. Yeah, you said, my name's Gary. I said, hi, Gary. Anyway, that's a AA joke.
Yeah, we got it.
It's not appropriate. We are drinking moonshine butter cake.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
I told him it tastes
Like a Yankee Candle.
like a Yankee Candle.
It tastes like a Yankee Candle smells. That's
Or-
fair.
Or a Bible bookstore. Because they always had a lot of potpourri.
Yeah, just like random scents that shouldn't
Yeah.
go together. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, all of a sudden, I want to find the new Caedmon's
Well,
call tape.
Do you remember Kirkland's? It used to be the store at the mall, Kirkland's.
Nah.
Listeners do. I couldn't walk into a Kirkland's. My olfactory senses got overwhelmed,
Yeah.
going into like a disco.
Yeah.
If you're super drunk, it's a bad way to go.
What happens to Charlie Sheen if he walks into a candle shop?
He gives the candles AIDS.
Well, yeah, but
That was solid.
I just meant that, like, there's no filter. Like, his nose is just, there's nothing in there.
No, there's been a lot of cocaine in there.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So, like, do
There's
you
nothing
smell
left.
more or smell less?
He just permanently has COVID side effects, right?
Yeah.
For like all of his life,
You're
plus
coming out
AIDS.
swinging.
Yeah.
Season 2. This is about sports cards.
And Charlie Sheen having
Charlie
AIDS.
Sheen, who hasn't been referenced in 8 years. So,
Yeah, that's what happens when you test positive. It meant something different 2 years
what
ago.
are you talking about now?
Charlie Sheen has HIV, bro.
Are you serious?
You didn't know that?
How did that happen?
Oh,
Winning.
life of debauchery. That's
All
how
right.
that
I
happened.
did not know that. That's
Yeah. Like he
I wanna
announced it like
ask a
5 or 6
clar-
years. That's why you fell off the face of the earth.
I want to ask a clarifying question, but it's not okay.
Okay, well then don't ask it. You're going to anyway, aren't you?
I'm thinking about that. You said HIV?
Yes.
Okay.
He's not full blown yet that we're aware
Are you
of.
thinking of Family Guy?
No, I was thinking more of the league.
Oh, I was thinking about Magic Johnson's press conference.
Well, who also still isn't full blown.
It's a miracle.
Well, it's not a miracle. You've seen the South Park episode, right?
No, yes. We're
Yeah.
Anyway, we're off to a great start. As you can tell, we've had a lot to stew on. A lot has been going on. But we're back, baby. We're back. Aside from the buttercake moonshine, I have a Monster Mango energy drink with vodka because I want to find out who wins, the uppers or the downers.
Yeah, and you should also explain to them how large the container that is housing that is.
It's called a glass.
Well, it's only called a glass by giants. It looks like a flower vase.
Well, I may or may not have commandeered that from Villanova in Clintonville.
Oh, that's great stuff.
And by commandeered, I think I just walked out the door with it straight into an Uber.
That's kind of your move, though, with glasses at random
well,
bars.
we don't need to indict me.
I'm not. I'm just stating facts. This isn't a court of law.
I have a nice collection.
Yeah, that you didn't pay for. Good work.
Well, I pay for it.
You earned those
This
glasses.
is situational ethics. All right. We got to jump in. There's been some card news going on. I'm sure you've heard about it if you're in the hobby at all, but a few big things happened that we're just going to kind of do a rundown on. The first one is a massive deal and one that I'm excited about. So I don't know if you recall, a few months back, we were talking about how Topps had lost a license. They were going to go bye-bye in a few years. We called my father, who was distraught, and said, well, that's the end of baseball card collecting as far as I'm concerned. And just like Abraham raising a dagger to his son Isaac, finding a ram in the thickets.
Well, you went deep on that analogy.
That's a biblical. I went to Bible college. I got to use that student debt.
Okay.
At the moment he was about to strike, Bah. Was that a ram? No, it's Fanatics. And guess what, Abraham? We just bought Tops.
That's one of the most awkward segues I've ever experienced.
And Isaac was spared. And we...
Yeah, so before we get too deep down this path, long story short, Fanatics bought Tops, and they bought them with the intention of not just keeping the existing Tops brands, but revitalizing the old ones now that they have the licenses to do them. They kept all of Tops employees and all their manufacturing in place. That means that in a few years, we're going to get Tops Chrome football and basketball back, probably Finest, probably some Bowman outside of baseball. It's going to be pretty freaking great, I think. Yeah. I still think Fanatics may have some Fanatics branded stuff, but I think that's going to be the exception, not the rule. I think it's going to be mostly the Tops brands.
So this could mean Bowman's best basketball in a few years.
Yeah.
Atomic refractors of rookie basketball players, which I love. That's probably my favorite like short print from back in the day for basketball.
Well, you were asking me just earlier today about what the case prices we're at right now on Bowman's best baseball.
I love how those cards look.
I agree. They just don't hold a ton. They just don't hold their value as well.
But when it comes to ripping a product where you're going to get hits and parallels, you know, it's like a rich man's Chronicles.
Yeah, it's just like I think cases are running around $3,000 right now.
Yeah.
It's not
a high end product, but you do for the value for what you're getting. I feel like you're going to get a lot of like mid value cards.
The biggest issue with that product when you're going case hunting for it and buying a case yourself is there just aren't that many cards in there.
Yeah.
So variance comes into play really bad. It's just I got into a Mosaic break last night, football, right? And it was a single box break. Those products, even though the prices are higher than they should be, if you're just getting single box breaks of that stuff, it's tough. Yeah. I got super excited because it was a random. I got the Patriots. I was like, let's go see some Mac Jones. It was one of the worst boxes I've ever seen of anything. Like, it was rough. You buy into a case break, chances are you're going to get some of your money back. Of course, you're going to spend 10 times as much too.
Yeah, if I'm getting in on Bowman's Best as a break, which we're going to talk more about that in a minute, I'm going to clear my throat now.
Good work.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
listening audience. If I'm getting in on Bowman's Best, I think the best bang for your buck is if you can get into a divisional break on that. In a rare case, which I'm not usually a PYT guy, that one can be good because you find out who's on there. Law of averages, there's going to get X amount of rookie cards in a case. So if you can get Tampa.
Yeah, if you can, it all boils down. PYT, you're just going to pay more for good teams. And if you don't want to pay as much, you're going to be stuck buying a crappy team. I prefer randoms, but it is what it is. I've gotten into some PYT stuff with Bowman Draft this year.
Yeah.
Just because everybody that listens to this podcast knows how much I love Bowman. It's one of my favorite products, if not my favorite product across all sports. So I've gotten into some of that stuff. Jason came by the house the other day, and I had ripped a super jumbo box of Bowman and a regular box of Bowman for myself. That was my splurge.
I love this product.
Bowman's Best?
Yeah, no.
Just
Bowman Draft.
Yeah, Bowman in general I love, but Draft is a great product. The only problem this year, so many pitchers.
Yeah.
Like, so many pitchers.
Yeah. How many?
So many. My super jumbo box, 5 autos, 4 of them were pitchers.
Yeah, that's rough. But you never know if you lost for like 5 years. 6 years.
No, I mean...
you don't immediately know that you lost your money. That's what I like about it.
Bowman... Well, and that goes... And this is coming up...
We can just jump into products. We'll come back to news.
Okay, so we'll talk about Bowman here because Bowman Draft is on our episode list today. So Bowman is a product that... And we talked about it with Bowman Baseball and Bowman Chrome. Bowman Draft is even more so. There's always going to be 4 or 5 guys that are chase guys. If you hit colored or numbered versions of those cards or autos of those cards, maybe if you hit a base auto, hang on to it because you never know. But anything else, you should be selling. You pull a big Marcelo Mayer card, you pull a big Henry Davis or a Harry Ford or a Colton Cowser or any of those guys that were big time prospect, like chase guys, sell them immediately.
Yeah, unless you have a crystal ball.
Yeah, the thing about baseball prospects is that it really is a crapshoot.
Or if it's PC, keep whatever you
Yeah,
want.
but you got like a 1% chance you're going to be right. Marcelo Mayer, you hit one of his of 99 autos, it's a $6,000 card right now.
Yeah.
Sell it immediately. If
Which
you want it back, buy it back in 4 months for $4.
I just saw the clip today again. I've seen it probably 10 times, but the card porn Instagram page posted again. What's the name of the guy that did the orange Mike Trout? He starts breaking at noon every day. He's been doing it forever.
Card Universe guy?
No. You know him. He's on YouTube every day at noon.
I know him.
Hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now.
He's working on it. Well, while he's pulling that up.
But it was a Mike Trout to 50 auto.
Oh, yeah, but he
first.
was just like, I don't know who
And
this
he was
guy
like,
is.
oh,
Yeah.
Mike Trout. I wonder if he's any good.
Yeah.
That's Bowman.
And that's baseball in general when you're prospecting. So you hit the chase guys, sell them. Now, if you've got some first-round guys that you've actually researched, and like I hit a Jay Allen. He was a Reds first-round pick, 30th overall.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty card. I might need that one for me.
I hit a of 150 auto. It's in really good shape. I could probably sell it for $500 or $600 right now, but he's a guy that I'm torn on because I like him as a prospect, and it's not big enough money that it's going to change my life at all. So realistically, that's a card I probably grade and hold unless I get a crazy
or
offer
like
on
trade it for a Zion, you know? Red paperclip, bro.
But if I end up hitting a big card, God forbid, a red, an of 5 or a 1 of 1 of one of the big name guys out of this class, I'm selling it as soon as humanly possible.
Cards Infinity.
Cards Infinity,
Yep.
That's who I was thinking.
OG.
Yeah.
OG breaker.
Well, he was a guy. So back in the day, he had a shop, right? A little bit of card history for you guys, and he started breaking. He was one of the first 5 or 6 guys who really tried to make a living breaking, and it took off so much that after 3 or 4 months, he is close. He's in Pennsylvania. He's close to the.
I think he's down in North Carolina.
Did he move now?
He's
Okay,
in Pinehurst.
because he was close to the Steel City guys,
Yep.
their friends.
Yep.
And he went to them and was like, hey, I'm shutting down the shop. I'm just going to break. And they were like, oh, there's no way. He was like, guys, this is the future.
Yep.
This is where. And he did. And he kept all his allocations from his shop. And he breaks every day. And he's made a killing.
Yep.
So good for him. But he didn't know who Mike Trout was, which is normal.
Dude, we're all over the place. We're so excited.
Yeah, we're back.
You notice this?
Woo!
We're like antsy.
We're back.
All right, so we started talking product. Let's keep going with it. Bowman draft. If you're somebody that's unsure of a player, if you're not really into prospecting, if you hit a big first and you haven't and you research and you're just not sure about a player, sell it now.
Yes.
Unless you're just really cool with hanging on for 3 to 5 years and rolling the dice, because it could 5 or 10x. I mean, some of those cards can 20x. Like it could get huge, but it
Anthony
could also
Volpe.
be nothing.
Yeah, Anthony Volpe is a perfect example of that. I was lucky in when it comes to the baseball prospecting stuff, I actually do quite a bit of research and I find guys that I really like. He was a guy that I found last year that I really liked. I liked his makeup, and I liked the fact that he's a kid from the Bronx, drafted by the Yankees. Like there's a lot of oomph to that. And then he came out and smoked it last year. And you could buy his base chrome non-color for $2, $3 at the beginning of last year. You could buy his Mojos for $3, $4. Now his Mojos are 50 or 60 raw. His papers are $10 raw. His base chromes are 25.
I sold a lot of his Mojos for $10, $15.
Yeah.
A year ago.
Yeah.
Not even quite a year ago. So before we move forward with that, prospecting. Talk with us about resources you go to, sites you read, articles you look for. What are you Googling? Where do you gather your information? Because I think for a lot of people, they love the idea of getting into something like baseball
intimidating.
products. Yeah, but it's intimidating. It's a lot of information.
Yep. So the big one for me, now I will say this, if you're going to take it seriously and actually dive into it, it's going to cost you a little bit of money. Baseball Prospectus is my go-to, but I pay $40 a year for access to their information.
What's special about what they put together?
So they not only have ins with all of the major league teams' traveling scouts, and a lot of the scouts write their reports for them, but most of their staff at one point or another was a major league scout. So they're guys who know what they're doing, and they don't hype anything. They just, this is what's there. These are the tools. These are the grades. This is how it projects. and you can get some pretty detailed information. If you don't want to spend money, you can get probably 60% of that information just going to MILB.com, minorleaguebaseball.com, and you can look at stat lines. You can get basic scouting reports. Not a lot of film. The nice thing with Baseball Prospectus is there's a decent amount of film on guys. If you know what you're looking at, it's worth like a swing. You play baseball, so you can recognize if somebody's got a swing or not. So those are the two big ones that I use quite a bit.
And let me just chime in there. $40, if you're actually getting into prospecting with the hobby, that's less than what you're going to spend on a break.
Way less.
Yeah, way less. Because if you're getting into Bowman on a single box, you can do that if the price is low. But I recommend if you're getting into Bowman, get it on a case or get in on multiple singles. Spread it out. Do randoms. Spread it out unless you have done homework and you know exactly what you want and you're willing to pay a premium. It's high risk. That's high risk, but it can be high reward too. But I mean, $40 on something like that could be a good resource.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And with baseball, especially prospecting, it's something you really have to stay on top of. The minor leagues are much more like the NBA as far as volatility goes than the major leagues are. Once a guy gets to the majors, if he sticks for 3 months, there's a 90% chance he'll be there for the rest of his career, right? If he doesn't stick for 3 months, there's a 75% chance he'll never be back.
Yeah, and I would say another big difference between baseball and other pro sports is at that minor league or development, phase, baseball is one where until they have a much larger field of data, they don't make a lot of decisions. So
yeah, you got a big sample size.
A perfect example of this would be Michael Jordan. If you watch the documentary when they were talking about, Francona was talking about how he was starting to figure out his swing right before the strike, but he really needed 1,200 to 1,500 at bats before you could even make a decision on how somebody was developing. Baseball is that type of game. And that's, people talk about it being slow, but I also think when you talk about how elite people are performing at that league, like people talk about people being out of shape, this or that. It's like you have no idea. You can't get lucky and make the show.
No.
You can have a streak, and I know this is an aggressive play. You can have a hot streak in a lot of major sports and see the field pretty quickly.
Jeremy Lin.
Yep. MLB does not work like that.
No. Well, I mean, and you talk about guys like Bobby Witt Jr. Bobby Witt Jr. has been the best player in minor league baseball for 2 years.
Yeah.
Hasn't sniffed the field yet. Part of that is salary manipulation, but the reality of it is you're right. Baseball teams want to see, because they understand baseball, unlike so many other sports, is so much more about the process than anything else, because your results a lot of times are out of your hands. That's why metrics that people look at in baseball, like batting average balls in play, if you've got a super low average batting average balls in play, it means that you're getting unlucky, not that you're bad. If you're hitting, if your at bat rate puts you putting a ball into play 70% of the time, but your average is 225, really you're not a bad player. You're getting unlucky. Mm-hmm. And when that luck turns, your average is going to jump 40 points, 50 points.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different beast altogether, for sure. So if you're wading into prospect, I can't encourage it enough. I think it's fun because you follow players, but the trade-off with starting this eager and excited with young players is you're going to have your heart broken.
Oh, for sure.
And the farm leagues are so different from a great example of this. I don't know if you remember watching him, Edwin Encarnacion. He was with the Reds, and they had to send him down 3 times.
Yep.
And he would go down AAA and then torch it and come back and not be able to hit a curve. Go down to minor leagues, torch it.
Aristides Aquino.
I know. I'm hoping Aquino figures it out, but because I bought so much of him, he's just so much. So Aquino he just has power and he has incredible hands.
He's got 70 power, but he can't hit a curve.
He has incredible hands.
He's real life Pedro Serrano.
Yeah. Yeah. It's frustrating, but
if you Joe Boo, I do this myself.
With Encarnacion, he went down and back several times before and then he got hot. I mean, he would go on streaks for the Reds. The Reds had a lot of power in that little era right there. Their pitching was horrible, but
shocker.
Yeah, shocker. But then he goes to Toronto, and he's putting the team on his back.
Yeah.
You know, making runs. So
Well, he got fat enough to carry a team on his back.
that's what I'm talking about.
He got pretty
I
fit.
love this game.
Him and John Kruk.
All right, so we're talking products. Let's move on. Mosaic.
Mosaic basketball and football just came out within the last couple of weeks.
Cards are so pretty. You forget.
It's a great looking card this year. I love the design, but it seems to be like a lot of other Panini products right now. They're making
Tough
a
pulls.
complete ass load of it. There's so much of it being made. I got lucky and stumbled into a massive retail stock, sold a bunch of it, opened some of it, gave you some of it at cost.
That's called selling, but
But yeah,
I appreciate the
it-
generosity.
yeah, you didn't have to go try to find it. I did that for you.
We've grown a lot in our relationship from when you would try to make money off of me with everything, you know?
Oh, you know. But
You looking
it
at me like
really
you
is a
did mark
pretty
it up.
product. But if you're buying retail, it's tough because it's pretty spread out. And
the
if
prices are up.
yeah, everybody has raised it. Panini raised the base price, and then Meyer has jacked it up more than anybody else.
Where were the
has.
hangers? Because that's what I bought off of you.
So hangers at Meyer, which is where I found them, were $25 plus tax.
yeah, so
Last year they were $13.99.
So I was in, you know, by the time I paid you tax and everything,
$27.50 a
yeah,
piece
yeah.
is what.
So $80, and I pulled right now maybe $10 worth of cards.
yeah.
It was rough for me. They're pretty cards, cool parallels. They do a really good job with the vets too. The Jam Master cards, the big head.
Yeah,
is
that's
kinda
cool this year. Yeah.
Reminds me of what was it? Upper Deck that did the kids stuff, or was it
Uh,
Donruss?
Donruss.
The baseball.
Yeah,
yeah.
Donruss did those.
So that was pretty cool.
I think it would have been cooler if they had made the big heads an SP version of that insert. Had a regular version and then the big heads be an SP version. That would have been pretty cool, but that would have cost them money.
Yeah.
On the front end. And
So
they're trying to
Mosaic.
rake it right now.
Let's talk about another cheap product, Flawless front of the line.
Oh, jeez.
Front off the line, not front.
$12,500 per box. That's 10 cards, by the way, guys. That is 10
And
cards.
you're gonna need 10 good ones.
That is $1,250 per card, and I will bet you large amounts of money that 90% of those boxes will return $500 worth of cards.
So you want to know what's a fun thing to do on a boring afternoon? You find somebody that breaks online and does personals, and you watch people
just lose their soul.
lose 10
Just
grand.
watch the soul get sucked out of their body.
And then
Yeah.
the breaker tries to be like, well, you know, I mean, this guy, nobody's talking about him, but I think
He's only been in
got-
the league for 12 years.
he's got real upside as a
Look at this Chris Kaman auto of 25.
Yeah, he's a 35-year-old center, but you never know.
Well, that was I pulled it when the mosaic.
Kevin Love to 10.
the mosaic that I opened, the stuff that I opened, I pulled one of the blue parallels, which are numbered to 16. I got super excited. I saw it. Kelly Olynyk.
They get all worked up. Oh, it's an auto. Oh, Rick Smith's logo man. Hey, for real, Rick Smith's, you need a logo man auto. I'm in on that auction.
$100.
All day. I will buy that up. Let's
Yeah,
talk
you're
about
from
other
Indiana.
awkward players we'd like to buy. Come on. Who else would we put on there?
In basketball?
Yeah.
Well, you got Jack. Well,
Rambus.
old school. You got
Rambus.
Kurt Rambus, Jack Sigma. Think about just awkward white dudes that played
Oh,
in the
John
NBA.
Stockton wins.
Kevin McHale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kevin McHale's a Hall of Famer, though, so he gets some credit there. See, who else? More modern guys, you could get yourself on some good Arvydas Sabonis.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be...
Ilgauskas?
you'd make fun of
Ilgauskas?
my boy Joker, Nikola Jokic, but he's a stud,
He's a
so
monster.
can't make fun of him. He looks like the least athletic 7'4" human I've ever seen, and he's a monster.
Yep.
Absolute monster.
Yep.
What's next?
So I just got a kick out of this. So if you don't know how allocations work, if a breaker has allocations, they're getting products, but they're also getting products whether they like it or not.
Yeah, stuff they don't want. That's how they get the good stuff.
The one that's been cracking me up lately is National Treasures Racing. Like, there's all these groups which if you collect racing, it's actually growing. Formula One is huge, and I think there is a ripple effect with Formula One that's going to carry over a little bit into NASCAR because people are just interested in licensed products. And National Treasure is a great product, but don't try to tell me that it's an exciting break.
No, not at all. You're just trying to get this stuff out of your room.
I'm not interested in Jimmy Johnson's shoe.
No, not at all.
Maybe I should be. And I grew up watching NASCAR, but when Mark Martin switched over to Viagra and I was 13 years old, I didn't know how to watch racing anymore.
And for me, I tried to watch racing a few times when I was a kid, and I looked at my uncle who was big into racing, and I said, is this what's happening right now? And he was like, what do you mean? I said, are they just going to turn left for the next 4 hours? That's what we're going to watch on TV? He was like, well, no, there's a lot more to it. I said, it doesn't look like there's a lot more to it than that.
There's a lot more to it. Boogity, boogity.
It looks like they're turning left for 4 hours and passing each other.
I'll tell you, I got hooked on it, and the moment I got hooked on it was when Rusty Wallace flipped 27 times down a backstretch.
So you're there for the carnage.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You go to racing for two things. Well, three.
Can we put Celine Dion in a race car and see what happens? Because I would watch
She'll
that.
probably win just to tick you off even
Oh,
more.
I hate her so much. So much. Oh, so much. That's a total side story, though. Go ahead.
Oh, man.
Hate
I don't know where it's
Celine
going.
Dion.
The whole point is don't get into breaks. So there's a whole there's an addictive part to these breaks. Everybody knows this is gambling. You don't like racing. Don't get into a racing break. Don't feel the pressure because nothing else is
You're
breaking.
not going to hit a $10,000 card at a National Treasures
I
racing.
hit that Danica to 10.
Would you sell it for $30?
No, it's still sitting in my work van. I haven't taken it out of the blaster, but it goes for like $100. But it's never made it out of the work van. So
send that into PSA for $150. See what happens.
I mean, there is somebody down in Arkansas. I told you a couple weeks ago that loves some Danica.
The question is, are they going to be on their episode of To Catch a Predator before or after you sell them that card?
Well, Danica?
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Not Danica, the person who buys it.
Oh, that's hard to say. I'm leaving that alone. I know we got a big fan base in Arkansas. And then you wanted to talk about soccer for some ungodly reason. I don't know why.
Well, it came up in conversation we were having earlier. So we talked about it a little while back, the fact that soccer cards are really starting to take off.
Stateside. They've been doing it everywhere else for a while.
Yeah, and they're starting to take off stateside. I've gotten into it a decent amount. The newest stuff for 21-22 just dropped. It's Donruss. They haven't made a Donruss set since 2018. Basically, they make Donruss sets whenever the World Cup happens. So to give you an idea, the 2018 Donruss hobby boxes now are selling for $3,000. Now, do I think 21-22 soccer boxes are going to sell for that 3 years from now? Probably not, just because there's not a Kylian Mbappe in this year's stuff. If you're not a soccer person,
I've heard that name.
Yeah, if you don't know who that is, I'm sure that if you follow sports at all, you know who Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are. Mbappe is this generation's Ronaldo, and Erling Haaland is this generation's Lionel Messi. There's a lot of good young players. 2021 had some great rookies. Jude Bellingham. 1920 had some great rookies. Mason Greenwood, Ansu Fati. There's a lot of stuff to go there. But the reason it came up in conversation with us earlier is the new Donruss has a subset, a little insert set that's one of the coolest looking cards I've ever seen. If you just want to see a good looking canvas card, go look up what the Power in the Box subset looks like.
I'm looking it up
They're
right
just
now.
really cool, colorful cards. And I told Jason, I found some cello packs, and I opened 12 or 13 of them. And I think I'm going to try to complete that set just for my own collection, not to try to sell at any point down the road. I'm going to get the whole set. I'll send it off to get graded, probably to GMA, because I can get them graded, or CSG for $12-15 a card for the whole set, and I'll just keep them forever because they're cool-looking cards. But I say all that to say that soccer cards are still, to an extent, in their infancy here in the States. If you're trying to get into a market that's not as saturated yet, that there's still a lot of growth room in, soccer's not a bad take. What do you think? He just looked those up.
It's a pretty cool looking card.
Yeah, they're just
And it's
good
got a
looking
real
cards.
90s vibe to it.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah, they're very cool. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about soccer.
Well, good. I'm glad we did that. Back to news. So Topps Fanatics, it is a big deal that happened. The Topps, the value just kind of tanked, and it made more sense for Fanatics to just buy them out. And I think it's cool for the employees that they did that. And they also think it's cool for themselves to begin generating revenue off of baseball immediately.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So I think that's a huge deal. I hope Topps baseball is around for a long time. I wouldn't have a problem with them streamlining and cutting some of the fringe products out there, but
Yeah.
I hope
league.
that
We never need big league again.
yeah.
Also,
Or-
pre-order your 2022 Series 1 boxes now if you have it. They're
Yeah,
going to get expensive.
Wanda.
They're going to get expensive.
Yeah, that's Wander's Topps flagship rookie, which that's a conversation, by the way, too. Some other podcasts were talking about this. You and I had a conversation today. Beckett decided to make an announcement that the Bowman's Best Wander Franco is the official rookie card. I don't know that they get to do that.
No, it's asinine. I wish you, if this was a video podcast, if we had a YouTube show, you would see my eyes rolling all the way around in the back of my head at this
Not
idiocy.
in a good way.
No. Listen, Beckett as an organization has only been relevant for the last 4 or 5 years because of grading. And now they're not even relevant on that front because they don't care anymore. They don't even try to communicate. Their turnaround times are unbelievably awful, and they're still charging you $200 a card if you want subgrades.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. They just don't care. So for them to have the cojones, the absolute hubris
The
to
fortitude.
say that they get to decide, contrary to decades of established precedent, that they're going to call a card that doesn't have a rookie card logo on it because the player in question didn't even qualify having played enough games to be in Topps update, that it's a rookie, is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
There's actually some parameters in place. Now, has Topps been known to try to hang on for Series 1 and promote?
Sure.
Absolutely. But they actually do have some metrics in place to try to
That's
say,
part of their license.
yes, it's a real thing. So for Beckett to just come in and say that, they're hyping, hoping for an influx of grading. I mean, I'm trying to see what the angle is for them or the
It's
involvement they
just
should even
dumb.
have.
I have the same reaction to that as I do when somebody at a card show or online when I'm selling a card tells me, well, what's Beckett say? I don't give a shit. Nobody does. Beckett is not the pricing authority anymore.
Well, you want to know how I know that you're in your mid-30s to mid-40s?
You ask about Beckett?
You ask about Beckett.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know what to do with your Gary Sheffield rookie if you didn't have that
a Beckett.
magazine.
Yeah, but I mean, now nobody cares. When somebody's like, well, Beckett says this, I just laugh at them because we're not going to be doing a deal.
That's not how it works.
No, nobody cares. Let's put it this way. Back when
you would find a job in the newspaper.
when 1920 Mosaic
1920.
basketball came out,
1920?
2019, 2020.
Thought
Mosaic
you meant the
basketball
roaring
came
20s.
out, right? For a minute there, the rookie cards were kind of popping, right? The base ones even. Well, then base Zions, base Jaws dropped down to $18 to $20 a piece. I had a guy at a card show had them marked at $75 in his case. And I went, just out of curiosity, why are you trying to sell these for 4 to 6 times what they're going for? It's like, oh, Beckett says it's worth $75. I hope you enjoy holding on to your Zions for the rest of your ever-loving existence, because
I know I am.
nobody on this planet, even at the top of Zion hype, is paying $75 for your ungraded base Mosaic Zion. Are you on crack?
Yeah. So, question.
There was
Now
my
that
rant
Now
for
that
the
we're
day.
talking about Zion, I have a proposal
Oh, geez.
that I could. So that Zion was a $100 card. He immediately gets hurt, right?
He didn't immediately get
Well,
hurt.
within a month.
Within about 3 months. That
No,
you
it
haven't
wasn't.
done
No, it wasn't 3
anything.
months. It was not. He showed up 500 pounds. Anyway, sorry. I'm the last person to fast shame. I think you should allow me to have a mulligan on.
After I've already made
hear
3
me out.
trades.
I know you're way ahead of me. I'm asking for you to allow me to have a $75 card value card because Zion's like $40 right now.
So what you're saying is you didn't put the effort in on the front end that I did, so you want to get a free catch-up.
I was patiently waiting, and I thought Zion was going to be in better shape, and he's not.
No, and he probably isn't going to play this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you,
I feel like I'm going to need to think about that. I'm not going to be able to give you an immediate answer on that.
maybe like that immaculate Trevor Lawrence would be a good place to start the RPA.
If you value that at $75,
Yeah.
I will trade you something that's worth $100 for that card right now, and we will call
Well,
that your start.
I'll have to think about that.
Okay.
one.
Well, I'm just saying if
All
that's
right,
if
let's
that's
move on
the
to
game you
more
wanna
news.
play, we
Anyway,
can do it.
it's fine. Good thing we got 9 more months on the Red Paperclip project.
We
Next
do?
big piece of news: PSA has opened up a $50 tier for everyone. Just kidding.
No.
for members.
Yeah, for silver members only.
What's the rate for the membership at
I
silver?
think it's $200 a year.
Okay. And is there a minimum of grades you have to submit within
No,
that as well?
it used to be that you paid that $200 a year and you got like 10 submissions with it. Now you just pay the $200 a year for the chance to submit at
Now they're
$50. And this is the kicker. It's not just open submissions. They will announce the day and time that they're opening submissions. It will be a limited number of submissions available. They haven't announced whether they're going to cap individuals from submitting more than 4 or 5 cards at a time or whether they're going to let them do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, it's just hilarious to me.
I like the $50 price point. I think it still keeps people from sending in. Like, the perfect example is, so I think Mac Jones is really good. I think he's going to be good. I think he is a better quarterback than many expected. But
I think he's a 15% better version of Andy Dalton.
I would disagree. I think he's a little more special than that.
Do
And
you?
don't talk up Andy Dalton, too, because you always end up being like, Andy Dalton was okay.
Go look at his first 10 years.
We've talked about this.
And I'm right.
No,
Okay.
but I'm talking about within the hobby. It's not.
Okay, well, no,
comparable.
I'm not talking about within the hobby. I'm just
that's
talking
what
about
I'm talking
talking about
about.
as a player.
So stop.
'Kay.
So stop talking.
Well, his stuff's
Stop
already dropped
breathing.
80%.
You're still talking.
Go ahead.
That's my point. My whole point is you have this hype train where people were pulling the Donruss rated rookie, sending it off to PSA. Mac Jones goes off right around Thanksgiving time. Patriots are looking awesome, and that card was selling for what, $1,200 to $1,500 as a PSA 10.
Yeah.
And everyone in the hobby was saying, "Don't buy that
It's
card.
$250
Don't
now.
buy that." So I still like the $50 price point. I think it's enough where that low end base, people are still taking a risk on it and they could lose their ass on it. And I think that's a good thing. That it has to be worth it. That's still a price point where if you want the PSA slab, which no matter how we feel about different grading companies, right now that's still kind of viewed as the standard. If you're selling quickly and flipping stuff, it's
the highest resale value. It's not the most accurate grade, but it's the highest resale value.
But I don't hate the idea of that, doing the membership $50 tier. But here's the problem. Everybody's excited about this option. It's still the same issue of turnaround. I want to know that turnaround is going to be improved at all.
I'm going to guess at that level because they haven't said it, but I'm going to guess that level is going to be at a 4 to 5 month announced
That's what I was going to
turnaround
say, 3 to
time.
5. 3 to
Yeah.
5 is my guess.
And they won't hit it. It'll be more like 6 to 8.
And so if you are a flipper, it doesn't work for you.
No, not
It
at all.
doesn't work. Now's the time to be thinking about which NFL players maybe didn't make the playoffs.
But you want to get ready for next year.
So here's one that I'm buying up, and it's risky, but I still think he's special. We don't know how he's going to come back from injury. I think now's a great time to be picking up some J.K. Dobbins.
Agreed.
He's in the basement right now, but he is a special athlete. You know, you and I watched him at Ohio State. Just what he's capable of, and he's had the type of injury that could impact the rest of his career. We don't know yet.
But it's a cheap enough buy right
It's
now.
a cheap enough buy if it's a nice card.
Yes, don't buy base.
Like a high tier product, RPA that you're getting for $50, $100.
Yeah.
I'd send that off for $50. I'd send that off and wait 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'd get close to my money back.
Same thing with I feel like that with Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I still like long term. I think Trey Lance could be pretty good, and I've been talking about this dude for 4 or 5 months on this podcast. You've heard me talk about it ad nauseum. Davis Mills can play football.
Yeah.
He can play.
So if you're thinking about grading, thinking about PSA, that 3 to 6 months, you need to be thinking about seasons that are about to end or seasons that just ended. Time it up if you're flipping. If not, then you're keeping it.
Yeah, who
Doesn't
cares?
matter. But all right, let's move on. Let's keep talking about grading. HGA has had some news as well.
Shit show.
Yeah, it's sad. It really is sad because there was something refreshing. And I still like Tyler. I like the way that he talks about
I
this
think
stuff.
he's a good human.
I think he's a good dude. But it just seems to be like one rough day after another
He's
for
a
them.
good dude who has run that thing into the ground because he was unwilling or unable to let go of the reins and let somebody who knows how to run a business and scale a business come in. They
That's
tried to
pretty
grow.
strong. I don't know that I feel the same way, but
They tried to grow remarkably fast, and it blew up in their face.
quality assurance was an issue.
And they were grading stuff they had no business grading. They put tons of fakes out on the market. They put tons of authenticated autos that weren't real out on the market. All kinds of mistakes. They were hiring people to grade cards that you could tell worked at Wendy's 2 days ago. And it was just like, what is happening? And then they
I'm gonna stop you right there. Wendy's is a fine establishment.
It's delicious, but do you want somebody who has never really looked at a sports card before and was dropping fries into a box 2 days ago, grading your cards?
I'm gonna counter argument.
Okay.
What's PSA paying their employees?
Oh, nothing.
So here's what I want to say. I don't disagree with what you're saying about them scaling too quickly. I'm not going to go after it being a personal issue because when something's growing at that speed, you can't keep everything at 100%. You can't. You have to choose which things. And it's unfortunate that you had a lot of these fakes coming out. It's happened with PSA. It's happened with Beckett. It's happened with everybody where there's fakes that got through and mistakes were made. The difference is decades of experience
yep.
and approval in that market.
In the market, correct.
And if you're going to be an outlier, which that was the angle that I loved, was like, hey, this is a fresh approach. This is a
yep.
different way of doing it. We're a little bit renegade here. We're rogue. We'll put artwork on a slab. Like some of those things that I loved, you have to have the integrity to hold up the value there. And that's what's sad about it. So for me, I'm not over HGA, but it won't be anything other than PC.
They're going to be out of business in a year.
You think so?
Absolutely. So here's the issue.
You don't see any acquisitions?
So here's what has occurred. This is what has occurred, and this is from Tyler directly, not to me directly, but in general, public knowledge. They've laid off 65 to 70% of their staff. They laid off their entire customer service team. And they brought in a equity firm that told them to do all this stuff. That tells me that this equity firm is stripping them down to clear out the money.
Well, that's another round of funding as well.
And so you've got a situation, and the bigger issue to me is, and this is just me as a human being in general. It's how I try to live my life, and it's what I expect from other people. Their entire shtick from the get-go. And it was a huge, the banner on their website, where 10 days means 10 days. That was what they were combating, was these horrible turnaround times. We're going to limit submissions so we can always get you your cards on time. I personally know 30 people who have 60-day submissions that are on day 170 with no communication whatsoever. There's no customer service team to respond to anything anymore. So everything's just in limbo. I know factually that multiple high dollar cards were sent in and stolen by employees. Like this is real stuff. This is not just like random weird rumors. These are things that have occurred. And so when those things pile up and then all of a sudden you cut 60% of your staff, and you lay off your entire customer service team, and then you're having to bring in outside funding because you're kind of screwed. Well, the writing's pretty much on the wall.
How much money did they make, though, in that 1 year window?
Well, I'm sure revenue was strong, but they hired 300 people. Yeah. And they opened a second facility just to do TCG cards that didn't take off. And it feels like if I didn't know Tyler and who he is as a person, it would feel like a money grab.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I said before, I think it had more to do with the chaos and the growth, some poor operations decisions, but yeah. I'm not down there. I'm not in their shoes. I'm just kind of bummed because I was hopeful.
Yeah, no, and I think
competition in that market is needed so badly.
I agree, and I think there is a couple of companies out there that are providing that at a good pace. I think, and we've talked about it before, CSG is not going anywhere. They're going to stick and continue to get better. People are starting to respect their 10s at about the same level as Beckett 10s. Like they're routinely pulling more than PSA 10s. I think that there's another company that's kind of trying to do it the right way, and that's FCG. We're actually going to have the owner of FCG on as a guest here soon. They're not growing fast. They're just doing what they do. They've developed a really strong foothold in the Bowman, the high-end Bowman market. I would say modern Bowman stuff the last 4 or 5 years, 30 to 40% of the high end stuff. And when I say high end, I mean of 25 or less autos of big prospects. They've graded it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about them that's so cool is they're not making promises on their turnaround times, but what they are doing is providing a level of transparency that I don't think I've ever seen. If you send a card into them for grading and it gets less than a 9.5, you get the notes from the grader.
I love
you
that.
get the paper. Here's why. These are the pictures.
Yep.
This is what we see. This is, you know why.
Yep.
Like nobody else does that. You can send a card to PSA and it's perfect and it'll get a 7. And if you send it again, it'll get a 10.
Or you send an 8 and it's a 10.
Yeah. It's just like there's no rhyme or reason to it. At least they're trying to do it right.
Yep.
So anyhow, that's
Okay, well, let's keep this dumpster fire going. Logan Paul,
Oh,
$3.5 million case of the first
Yep,
edition.
Wizards of the Coast
Yeah,
Pokemon,
Wizards of the
yep.
Coast Pokemon. Remember I said Wizards of the West Coast?
yeah.
That was fun. We just pimped your ride. Anyway, BCCE is in trouble. It's in. Why in the world? So if you don't know what happened, Logan Paul bought a case of what was supposed to be a first edition Pokemon sealed off of this collector who bought it off of a shady collector.
Well, it's actually a collector who bought it off another collector who bought it off the shady guy.
Yeah. That's right. It's back a few
Yeah.
more. So they decided to verify that it's real. Now, if anyone is capable of fabricating a situation to look like something happened, it could be the Paul brothers because they're marketing geniuses. Geniuses?
Yeah.
They are a marketing
They're
genius.
asshats, but they are marketing
Yes, they know
geniuses.
exactly what they're doing. He's going to make his money either way. And what a brilliant way to bring BCC in and to have them.
And maybe tank their business.
Yeah. And sure enough, they open up the case. If you haven't seen the video, it's all over YouTube. And it is boxes, some
Of
first
first
edition
edition
boxes.
Pokemon.
Some of them weren't
Yeah.
even first edition boxes.
Yep.
They notice the saran wrap is off right away. The shrink wrap's off. It's not right. And then they open it up, and what do they find? G.I. Joe cards, which
Yep.
some of those hold a value, but nowhere close to $3.5 million.
No.
And why in the world did they take on? So maybe you can walk me through this because I don't know. How involved have they been in non-sports cards?
Not much at all.
Yeah.
And definitely not anything that high end. And here's what's bad about it. The guy who owns BBCE, his name's Steve. He's a good dude. He's been in the hobby for a long time, and BBCE has been the standard for authenticating sealed product for 20 years. Like, they're the standard. But it just goes to show that greed can crush you. Like, he saw a $25,000 check to authenticate this and wrapped it, and it bit him in the butt.
Do you think it was greed, or do you think it was a genuine mistake?
I don't know how. So if your entire business is based around your reputation as an authenticator, right? That's what your business is based around, your reputation. Like, I know my stuff, and if I authenticate this, you can count on it being real.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what my business is based around, there were so many red flags about this case long before it ever
I
came
saw
to
that.
him.
Yeah.
It would have taken 5 minutes of Google searches. So here's all you need to know about this. If you don't know the backstory of this, the case was originally tried to sell on eBay. It got bid up to $70,000. This was last March. Okay. The sale fell through. The reason the sale fell through is because the guy who was selling it changed the story about where it came from 3 different times. And the final story that he settled on was he bought a house and found it in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then that sale falls through, but then it gets bought by another guy for like $250,000. And then 5-6 months later, it gets bought by another guy for $2.5 million. At this point, people are starting to ask questions.
Yeah.
The sticker on the case has codes on it that nobody's ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they literally don't exist anywhere. And so there's lots of red flags about this. And then Logan Paul buys it for $3.5 million, and they have BBCE wrap it. And it was about a $25,000 check, because the way BBCE charges when they wrap stuff is it's like a flat rate for a case or a box plus a % of the overall value of the product. So they got like a $25,000 check for that, right? So that's good for them. But now their reputation is shot. Like, I have some BBCE wrapped stuff. Thank God it's not high-end stuff. It's just stuff that I liked when I was a kid. Most of the junk wax stuff that I have that's sealed is just stuff that I remember ripping as a kid, and it's cool to look on my shelf and be like, oh, I ripped so much of that when I was a kid for $20 a box. But at the end of the day, now people have BBCE stuff out there that they paid $50, $60, $80, $100,000 for. 86, 87 Fleer basketball stuff from a sealed case wrapped.
78 Tops baseball.
How do you have any faith that any of that's real?
Yeah.
And you paid a 30% premium because it was wrapped by BBCE. And here's the kicker. BBCE doesn't grade anything. Therefore, they don't have insurance to cover their screw-ups.
And in case you didn't realize, I'm not saying that any of this could be staged. I can't imagine the owner of BBCE would be involved in that. However, Logan Paul, when he's decided to do a reveal of what happened, had a video sponsor for his energy drink or sports drink. He's already got 4.6 million views on this from 7 days ago.
Yep.
He is going to generate a ton of revenue off this. It's hard to believe that they didn't weigh it. There's basic things to me. Like, did somebody figure out exactly what a case weighs and they put that exact amount of G.I. Joe packs? There's just, some of it doesn't seem like it adds up.
Yeah.
But the point is, BBCE was the standard for sealed wax
authentication.
And they had a huge wait list. I think it was the ultimate flip move in the last couple of years when people who've been collecting for a while was like, well, if everything else is taken off, I'm going to get all this wax authenticated that was like borderline junk wax era. And now all of a sudden it's being treated like almost like the PSA 10 equivalent because it has this shrink wrap on it.
Exactly.
Which was super smart. People made a killing on it.
Yep.
But now it's all in question. So there's been a lot of news going on. The other thing I wanted to highlight, we're going like 50 minutes in this episode, so we got to wrap up soon.
We still got to talk football.
We got to go quick then. The only other thing I wanted to bring up in the news side of things is just how the sports betting is expanding like crazy. Forbes magazine did an article. A friend of mine sent it over. New York legalized sports betting where people can hop on whatever and bet. And in one weekend, they did $150 million in bets.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Ohio's close. We should, sometime this year, we should be legalized.
I can't wait. Can you imagine when they open up a book where it's like a sports bar?
Can you imagine how much time we're going to spend over at Hollywood in the sports book? Our wives are going to hate us more than they already do.
I might have a P.O. box on the west side. All right, let's jump in. Playoff picture. We don't have a ton of time, but let's move through it. We got as much time as we need. I just know people are getting fatigued.
Well, so I do want to tell people when we were putting the episode notes together,
this is not necessary.
Well, no, because it blew my mind. So when you guys jump on a Facebook page and tell us what you think about this, if you're talking about NFL stuff playoff-wise, do you break it down in your head by conference or you just randomly throw teams out there? Because this dude started writing down and he's just like, oh, KC. Oh, and let's talk about San Francisco. I'm like, what are you doing? Let's talk about the games.
You know what else I like?
What?
Mashed potatoes with noodles and chicken on them, all rolled together.
Oh,
on top. Mix it all, bro.
Nope, you got to eat each thing separate.
Nope, that's not true.
That's awful what you
all
just said.
So, first matchup, KC Buffalo. Man, I'll tell you what, Josh Allen's a freak.
I told you this when we were prepping the episode. I think Buffalo wins by 2 touchdowns.
I've never seen Belichick wear so many clothes, cover up so much of his face in all my life. I loved it, and it was awkward to watch them get eviscerated, but you could tell he knew it was coming.
Yeah.
He was like, I used every annexation of Puerto Rico play I had.
So
that's a Little Giants reference. I don't know if you saw that movie.
A long time ago.
So their secret play was the annexation of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And I felt like when Belichick beat Buffalo, that was because they just ran the annexation of Puerto Rico all night.
Well, they just ran the whole game. But Josh Allen's a freak. So there were people that were jumping off the Josh Allen bandwagon in the middle of the season when he had a little rough patch. And if people were doing that, it's because they weren't actually watching the games.
Right.
This dude picked that team up and put it on his back. The only reason that they were even competitive in that little mid-season swoon is because of Josh Allen. There were so many balls being dropped. This dude runs angry. He doesn't slide. He trucks dudes. He took one of those Patriots defenders and made him look like an awkward 7th grader, juked him out of his shoes. The dude almost fell over. Yeah. He's a freak, and I think he's going to go into Kansas City this week, and they're going to put it on him.
The thing that I was impressed with was he had some plays where he was throwing across his body.
Oh, deep.
And it's like, and I'm exaggerating here, but it's like you're watching this Lamar Jackson speed. You're watching this Aaron Rodgers arm, and then you have the physicality of like a Metcalf
Yeah.
when he's running into people. So if he stays healthy, because here's what's going to happen. Within the next couple years, somebody's going to start really hounding him like baseball slide,
Yeah.
calm
Get
down.
down.
Like, get us our ring, and then we need to preserve you.
Yeah.
We're going to bronze you right now.
Yeah.
They're going to tell him to stop.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to tell him to slow down. And
The
all
thing
that.
is, he's got a good enough arm. It
But-
doesn't matter.
Yeah, he can sling it. I love him. And we're talking about him going up against Kansas City. Like, if you'd have told me at the beginning of the year we would be talking this excited about Josh Allen going up against Kansas City, coming off of the way that they've been, like, I would have been a little surprised by that. But you and I both, I think, are leaning towards Buffalo on this one.
Yeah,
right?
and here's the thing. Josh Allen's rookie stuff is still reasonable. Like, it's not cheap,
Yeah.
but you can go buy an Optic PSA 10 base for $250.
Mm-hmm.
An Optic Patrick Mahomes base is $1,200.
Yeah, I would say grab that one, hang on to it. With quarterbacks that are special, hang on to them for 10 years, see what
Yeah.
happens. But I have Buffalo edging that one out. I do.
I have Buffalo blowing it out.
This next one is a tough one because I'm cheering for one team, but I think the other team is probably going to win. You probably feel the same way as me on this
yeah,
one.
and I'm a Bengals fan.
Titans and Bengals. I will say I enjoy watching the Titans. I like what Vrabel does. He's had an incredible season of coaching, but Derrick Henry is a freaking monster.
That Cincinnati's chance in this game comes from two spots. One, if Joe Burrow's your quarterback, you're always going to be in a game. They're not getting blown out. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are special. It's special. The chemistry that they have is something you don't see very often from quarterbacks and wide receivers. It reminds me a lot of Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, the connection that they have. Jamar Chase just knows when Joe's going to throw something back shoulder. He just knows. And Derrick Henry coming back from a long layoff, if he's rusty, the Bengals have a shot. And if Ryan Tannehill shows up as like Jekyll Tannehill, instead of Mr. Hyde Tannehill,
Miami Tannehill.
they have a shot. I think Tennessee probably wins the game by anywhere from 5 to 7 points. But as a Bengals fan, I'm super hopeful that they don't just show up happy that they won last week. I was so excited. I was telling Jason this when I got here tonight for the podcast. I was so excited when Cincinnati won last week because the last time the Bengals won a playoff game, I was 13 years old. No, I was 14 years old, and I watched them win the playoff game, and I'm in my mid-40s. I was so excited. I Tiger Woods fist pumped and punched myself in the face.
I love that story so much.
I punched myself in the face hard enough that I thought I was going to have a shiner on my cheek the next day.
So here's the crazy thing. You're talking about Josh Allen being at 250.
Yeah.
The excitement around Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
So most recent, and this is, this could be a little bit different by the time the listeners check this out. The most recent base PSA 10,
Yep.
$299.
Optic or just Donruss?
Donruss. $299.
Sold?
Sold.
A base?
Sold.
That's crazy.
So when you're looking at that and you're comparing a quarterback to the excitement around a receiver, that's pretty special.
That is crazy. I'm rich and I didn't even know it. That's not even an outlier. Like 193, 230, 299. I mean,
He's $200 to $300.
There's been a big jump though. 2 weeks ago they were $100.
PSA also is just getting some of these cards back. So there's probably a little bit of that Mac Jones
pop
effect.
counts are going to go up and the price will come down, but still for a
But
base
right now,
of a receiver, that's
and
crazy.
he's special, but I'll take Josh Allen for less.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I'm with you. I mean, I live in Ohio. I'm a Dolphins fan. We once again decided to set ourselves back 5 to 10 years after getting rid of Flores, which makes
Horrible
no
move.
sense because we're obsessed with Tua, and I've moved on. Which here's the thing.
There's room on this
Tua-
Bengals bandwagon, baby.
Well, here's the thing. I'll say it right now. They had talked about Harbaugh, and then they've already said that's not happening. If Harbaugh goes to Miami, I'm out. My whole lifetime, I've been a Dolphins fan. It's been one disappointment after another. As soon as you gain traction, have a couple winning seasons, it's time to change it up because why not?
Yeah. Well, this was very simple. You said it. The GM and the owner want Tua. And Flores, who's a football guy, he played in the NFL, he's coached forever. He knows he's never going to win a championship with Tua.
Yeah.
He wanted to move on, and they didn't want to. Tua is what he is. He's a average.
He's a really good college quarterback.
Yes, and he's a very average to slightly below average NFL quarterback. And the minute he gets any pressure at all, it's ugly.
Yeah, he can't throw the ball. He
Not
can
consistently.
scrap. He can put together drives. He works hard. You know who he is? He is a more successful Tebow. He's a very likable person.
I'd say he's more Ryan Tannehill.
Well, Tannehill turned it on.
Yeah, but I'd say that.
I think Tannehill's a way better quarterback.
Tannehill's a better quarterback early in his career. He wasn't though.
No, because he got sacked 60 times his first season.
Well, no, his first 2 seasons or 3 seasons, he was just a backup for the Rams. But once he was drafted by the Rams, 6th-round draft pick. You don't believe me on this? Tell me when I've been wrong about things like that.
I don't know, but I really enjoy it when you are.
I'm not this time. So Ryan Tannehill was drafted by the Rams, 5th or 6th round pick out of Harvard. He had the highest Wonderlic score in the history of the combine. Oh, you're talking about Tannehill. I wasn't thinking Tannehill. I'm thinking Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I'm thinking. You said Tannehill. In my brain. Okay.
That was the Fox Century.
Yeah,
20th Century
I was thinking Fitzpatrick.
So everybody, in case
And you were
missed this,
talking about Tannehill.
he decided to randomly change his mind to a different quarterback.
Well, they both have the name Ryan, and they both play for the Dolphins.
See,
I
guys.
was thinking Fitzpatrick, not
Okay.
Tannehill.
Well,
Yeah, Tannehill's a much better quarterback.
but you said Tannehill.
Yeah, I did, but in my brain, I was thinking Fitzpatrick.
Okay. Anyway, all right, moving right along. We're over an hour now, and you're welcome. If you're still with us, you get it.
Yeah, you're enjoying this.
San Francisco, Green Bay. Here's what I'm going to say. I've really enjoyed watching the 49ers.
Yep.
Especially towards the end of the season. Debo has
He's
been
a
a
monster.
blast to watch.
He's a monster
I don't like watching Jimmy G.
because he's hard to watch.
And the other frustrating thing is I have a lot of rookie cards at Jimmy G.
Well, I say if they beat the Giants, if I've got 3 or 4 slabs,
Yep.
rookie slabs, if they win this week, I'm selling them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Immediately.
Oh, yeah. If you have Jimmy G and they beat Green Bay, I just think Green Bay is healthy and gaining momentum at the right
What's
time.
the spread on that game? 5.5 right now?
That's a good question.
5.5,
Hold up.
6. So here's the thing to keep in mind with this situation. If you are in a state where sports gambling is legal, caveat, Jimmy Garoppolo has never started a game in his professional career in temperatures under 41 degrees. The forecast for Green Bay this weekend is 6 degrees.
16?
6.
26?
Yeah, it's going to be cold. So everything about that game screams that Green Bay is going to cakewalk.
-6 is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I was thinking it was probably 5.5 to 6. Green Bay was the favorite. Nick Bosa is still a coin flip whether he's going to play this weekend or not. That's
Which is
huge.
a huge play.
It's
Yeah.
huge. If he's 90%, then they have a chance. But if he doesn't play, I don't know how they get pressure on Rodgers. And if they don't get pressure on
It's
Rodgers, he's
over.
going to pick them apart.
Yeah, he's in a good place right now. One thing that's been interesting is you have teams respond differently to the drama. So Rodgers has been no exception, and he's decided to thrust himself in the middle of a lot of drama. He's kind of that guy. I've listened to a lot of his interviews on Pat McAfee, which is hilarious because Pat McAfee has pretty much ruined the opportunity to interview Aaron Rodgers for every reporter out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Because he gets like an hour with him every
Yeah.
week. Very cerebral approach. You look at Tampa Bay where they're saying there's this turmoil left and right. Nobody's holding it together. You got AB. You got Arians punching dudes. You got injured players. You got Gronk, which you never know what you're going to get. You got Brady with his age. And then you look at Green Bay where they've had like their fair share of drama this year, but it seems like and with Aaron Rodgers probably leaving next year. Probably.
Yeah.
He still seems to be galvanizing the team and focusing on what's ahead and to be respected by his
Well, when
teammates.
you're a consensus all-time top 10 quarterback, I've said this before, the locker room knows, and all the locker room cares about is, are you going to go do your job and help us win?
Yeah.
And the locker room knows that Aaron Rodgers is one of the all-time greats, and he's going to go do his job and help them win. And they don't give a shit about the rest of it.
Yeah.
They really, truly don't. People don't understand that about a locker room. People are like, how can people support him? He said this about COVID. The locker room does not care. They care about one thing. Can you help us win?
Yeah.
Are you going to do your work? Can we count on you?
So
That's it.
what's the over on this?
Oh,
47?
don't bet the over. It's going to be cold as all. If there's
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because most of the time that's true, but how many times do we say that and they end up hanging 30 or 40? But 47 is a steep over.
Well, I don't think San Francisco's going to score more than 14 points.
Yeah.
So,
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
14.
I don't think they score more than 14 points. They're going to have to run the ball, which speeds the game up, which means they're not going to have as many possessions because Jimmy G's not going to be able to throw the ball consistently in 15-mile-an-hour winds and 6 degrees. He's just not.
I don't like driving in it.
No, I don't like working at it either. We've had to the last week. What's our last game?
I'm not as excited about it. Maybe I should be. Tampa Bay Rams.
I think the
It's
Rams
hilarious because we
walk.
have a rematch of the worst Super Bowl in history from a couple of years ago. Well, it was the Patriots Rams, but it's Tom Brady and the Rams.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say
What was the final score on that? 10-3?
13-3.
13-3. Yeah,
Yeah.
get out of here. It's so lame. Halftime was like 3
was
to
rough.
nothing.
Yeah.
And then it was like Adam Levine, I'm going to take my shirt off. No, we want football,
Yeah.
bro.
You got real spicy about that
No,
halftime
I
show.
just didn't like it.
Snoop D-O-double-G is the halftime show this year, baby.
Hey, ain't nobody gonna disappoint for Rizzo.
How excited is your wife going to be?
Oh man. Oh man.
Oh, she's going to go buy an old Chevy Impala and just crank it.
We're just
Just for
gonna
the
have
game.
that gin and juice.
I think the Rams win pretty handily.
So you and I have a difference of opinion on what the game's gonna look like. I think this is a low scoring game again.
I don't necessarily think it's a high-scoring game, but I think the Rams win by 2 scores. Might be 10.
I don't think so. I think Tampa Bay wins and it's a low scoring game. That's the only one we disagree on.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain me your rationale for
Because
why you
here's
think
my
that.
rationale. Here's my rationale.
Okay.
And it's not several points, it's one.
Okay.
Tom Brady is the GOAT.
Yep.
Turmoil. Let me start with this. I watched Man in the Arena.
Me too.
He has more motivation now than he's had in the last 3 years.
Yep.
He's been begging for nobody to believe in him.
Yep.
Every time that happens, he is magical. He has freaking Gronk where he's like, hey, we got to do what we've done several
Yep.
times. We need it this year. And the Rams, we just need to put a nail in this discussion. I think Tom Brady is going to be special. I think he wants to prove something. He doesn't forget. He is a grudge player. He holds on to stuff. And I think he is going to be trying to make a point.
Yep. And
Out of
here's the problem with that. It's hard to make a point when you're flat on your back.
I know you love Aaron Donald more
It's
than
not an
any other
issue of
person.
loving Aaron Donald. It's an issue of their all-pro right tackle's not playing. He's hurt. Their starting left guard is hurt. They're on their second or third string left tackle. He doesn't have an offensive line. He doesn't have a running. His best running back is Gio Bernard. As a Bengals fan, I love Gio Bernard. He's not a starting running back.
Yeah, but here's the
Keyshawn
thing.
Vaughn's not a starting running back. They don't have Chris Godwin. They don't have Antonio Brown. They're going to put Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans, and wherever he goes, that's where Jalen Ramsey's going to go, and that's the end.
I'm going to bring up a few nobodies to you real quick.
Okay.
Wes Welker.
Wes Welker was never a nobody.
Julian Edelman.
Never a nobody. Top 10 receiver in the league his whole career.
Amendola.
Amendola had flashes of being decent. He was a above average receiver his whole career.
Look at them before.
Amendola got to the Patriots because he had a 70 catch
I don't
year
want to
for
hear
the
about
Rams.
Wes Welker because I watched him in Miami.
Yeah,
bro.
and he was a great punt returner, and he caught 50 passes, and then he became
he was a great.
he was an all pro punt
That's
returner.
not my point. My point is Tom Brady is built different.
I don't disagree with you, but I don't care how you're built. Unless you can shrug off Aaron Donald sacks all game, you're not
All right,
going
here's
to
what we're gonna
do
do.
that.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
If you're right, do you want to play the spread or the win?
Oh, the win. I'm going win.
Oh, you don't like 14 points anymore?
I didn't say 4. I said
You
2
said they're gonna win by
scores.
2 scores. Okay, but it could be
10 points.
10 points?
I think that's what they'll win by.
Okay.
But I
You feel that confident? If he's on his back, 10 points is nothing.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, 10 points.
Yeah.
If you're right, I'm stuck with Zion.
Okay.
If you're wrong, I get a fresh card worth $100.
Oh, I don't know if I like that game.
What are you talking about? Tom Brady has nobody to throw to. Aaron Donald's going to be knocking him on his back all night. How about this? We'll just do it on the win, not the spread.
Okay. Deal.
All right, shake on it.
Deal.
I like this. I like this. I'm back, baby. Tom Brady,
Yeah, you're not-
TB12.
TB12 on his back
Bruce, don't hit him
the
in the
whole
head.
game. He's going to be on his back the whole game. I wish he wasn't because, listen, unlike a lot of people, I'm not a Brady hater.
If Brady gets a career-ending injury, it's your fault.
I would love to see Tom Brady win an 8th Super Bowl. That's awesome to me. That's so cool to me, especially because he's my age. Like, we graduated high school the same year.
Yeah, you guys could have both been that guy.
No, we couldn't. No, we couldn't. I actually had this conversation with my daughter earlier today about something totally unrelated, but I used it as a teaching moment for her in that I was better at football than 90% of the public. But to be at that level, you got to be better than 99.9% of the public. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't. And that's just the reality.
And, like, I don't think Tom Brady eats very many pickled products.
That he's missing out.
That's a
I
lot.
bet when he retires, he gains 85 pounds.
Not a chance. No, I watched the man in the arena. He's going to be sitting
He
on
might eat pickled products because his whole thing is he doesn't eat anything that's white.
No, he's going to be sitting, like, up in a shrine in Mongolia meditating. I can see it
With
now.
Giselle and the kids
He
running
just
around.
like puts one piece of pink Himalayan salt in his mouth and lets it dissolve a day. Just does pliability moves. He gets thrown down a hill every day and is like, "Man, I didn't break a bone once again."
Here we go.
I don't know how I do this. He
Yeah.
just, anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've said all there is to say. We're an hour and 10 minutes in.
It's a nice long episode to kick off season
That's
2. We
how you kick off
promise
season 2.
that there won't be very many episodes that are this long.
But you're welcome.
Yeah.
We're helping you get through your workday, your commute, whatever you got going on. You're ignoring your entire family with AirPods in, listening right now. We love you.
Welcome back to the Ball Card Show.
Welcome back. The Sports Podcast for the Sports Collector, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Peace.